Hi everybody. Surprise! It's me. I am covering for Allie today because she is sick. I think we're all oh no, I did not mean to click on you, League of Legends. Maybe I should unpin you. All of these... Damn it. Don't stop launching. I don't need you to actually launch League of Legends background process. Hey, it's called a Riot Client Patcher. There we go. Alright. Oh no, it's still alive! Okay. So, League of Legends comes installed on all of Riot's machines for good reason, I would say. I mean, when it's your company's flagship product, everyone should have easy access to it. Good morning, Banto. Good morning, Bookshield, Rokugatsu, Me Lopez M. Bookshield says, morning, it is 5 p.m. It is 8:30 in the morning where I am in the west coast of the United States. Hi, Joe Baxro. Yes, it is me, Allie. Right. So today I thought I would fix some of the Alpha 18 issues that have showed up on Discourse since we started. Yesterday was our release of Alpha 18 onto Steam Stable, so if you are a person who only plays the stable branch, please do, well, I can't say please do check it out, mostly because you're kind of forced to. Steam will automatically update. I think, actually, no, you can turn off the automatic updates, never mind. But yeah, Alpha 18, it's about building teardown, and all of that stuff. The first thing I want to fix is this crafting orders live drag problem. So this live drag problem has always existed, and the reason why it came back is because I minified all of our JavaScript, and my minification, so JavaScript has a minified version. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with JavaScript, but it looks like this. You basically like put all the JavaScript through a through some kind of a function thing, and then it spits out something that looks kind of like garbage. It's all garbled. And this loads faster and runs faster because what it will do is replace a lot of your local variables with the like this thing here is called z-index, and this local variable called element is called lem, so that we can read it as developers. However, when the computer sees this, it doesn't actually need to know that this particular variable is called ELEM, and actually JavaScript's variables, the length of the variable will actually determine the amount of memory it takes up, the length of the name of the variable. And so if you want your code to run the fastest, what you will do is run all of this through some kind of an automated parsing process that will go, oh, you're not ELEM anymore, you're the variable A. And then replace all of these with A, right? And then it becomes like impossible to read, but your program will take up less space and run faster. So, JavaScript funness. So, what happened was I changed all of our JavaScript to minified, so that it will load faster and it will run faster, etc. Except the way I did that was I just downloaded the minified versions of the the particular version of jQuery we were using, because you can just download it from the internet, right? And I forgot that I made fixes to jQuery so that it wouldn't have this live drag error anymore. This live drag error is actually a problem with the jQuery JavaScript library. So anyway, so what I needed to do was not download jQuery minified from the web, but to copy and paste this version of jQuery, which is modified and works better, into a minifier myself. So you know, you can just do this. You just go to JavaScript minifier, Google search it. There we go. There's a JavaScript minifier. I input a JavaScript and I get a JavaScript back out. So you know, copy and you paste. You say minify, and it will take a long time because jQuery is like what, 15,000 lines of code, so it'll take a while. But yay, there it is. You select all, you copy it, you select all of this, paste, save, and then it will be this blob of considered binary, and so now you stage it and you commit it, jQuery minified from our in-house version of jQuery, which has fixes for live drag errors. John Marshall says, amazing, didn't know that. Cool, yay! I'm glad someone could follow along with my rambling. Yes, I am Allie for today. But I will not be doing the crazy art stuffs because we all have specialties. My special skill is being able to live for a long time without water. My fiance and I like to talk about what useless superpowers we have. And that one is mine. It complements his very well because he cannot live without water for more than a couple hours. So he is very water dependent. Me, I hardly drink water. Or alcohol, actually. I don't really drink alcohol. But that's because I don't like the taste. Alright, so now we're just gonna check that all the stuff still works. Let's not do build test. And also, geez, they really like to resort all that stuff in those boxes. Should probably look into why. There we go, he's a master potter. Master potter, does it any queue up stuff? Alright, shop. Yay, Weaver's Hut! Oh my god, it's so cute. Alright, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. Do that. Build. Yes, start building. That will automatically queue up some stuff in the potter. And then we can just, you know, play with this a lot. And so we should probably have verified that the error would have occurred before and like undid it, but the error would have occurred. I'm pretty sure of this. So, I mean, the error is not occurring now, so good job us. Cool. That's one thing done. And then the next thing I wanted to look into is that occasionally the... Well, no, what is this one? Moving beds inside a house problem. Hey, that's you, Banto. Every time I want to move a bed that is inside a built house, the spot inside the house actually goes to pick up a new bed from the stockpile rather than moving the bed selected. And if I instead put it outside the house, it moves it like it should. Oh, interesting. Pedro says, I found a reason for it. But the move, yeah, but it still shouldn't do this, right? It should just say, like, no, don't do that. And I think, or it shouldn't put a new bed down. Like, that's just not the behavior I would expect ever. It could say, no, you can't put it here. But if you're moving an existing bed, it should never put a new bed down. Because why? So let's check this. So I'm not doubting you. I just think that it's still probably a bug we would want to fix. Potter test. Potter test. Rise, children. Okay, great. And I want you to be a really big world. Excuse me, that's not actually that big. 512. Hi, Sophia Chaos. Is that I think I'm pronouncing that right. If not, I am sorry. Oh man. I forgot that we put logs on the banner in this one. Poor log. Let's fix that. And then what was I doing? Alright. Let's just do a little clay house. Right? This thing has a bed in it. Yeah, it has a bed in it. Okay, cool. So just build it. Well, that was another thing that has been requested of me, which is that I make clay bricks. Be queued. The difference is clay bricks are resources. And it's very difficult to determine which crafter will craft a resource. Or it's not difficult. I shouldn't say that. It's just you could have multiple crafters that can craft resources, simply because a resource is a materials flag, and as a materials flag, it's meant to be more of a there can be multiple items that have this material setting. Zeti says, you working from home? No, I am in the office, which is why I feel very cold. It is very cold in the office right now. I assume it is because we have the AC running, and we normally expect the AC to be running against 30 people in an office, and there are no people in the office. Except for Mally. Thanks for coming in, Mally. I was very surprised to see Mally here this in the morning, but I also almost never come in this early. So, in order to watch him build this house. Yeah, do it. Joe Maxer says, would it be possible to prioritize crafting items over maintain items? I think you would just have to move it higher up on the queue. Hi, Mally. Yes, I corrected myself. You are indeed here. So now if I move this to somewhere else, what happens? Oh my god! Did you see that? That totally happened. Alright, so what do? We delete this. Oh, but it's still gonna... You just... That is what you never want this. I love the scaffolding volume because I got rid of the house. Okay. Alright. So I think I know why this is happening. Place, item, call handler. So you... What happens is we tell a worker to place an item in the world. Oh man. Okay. Okay, this entire thing is wrong. Because place item on structure should never be transactional. So transactional means that this is part of a building editor thing and you want to be able to undo, redo it, right? Except the difference is placing an item on a structure is what you do when you manually click on the move item button and you put it on a building. And so that move is tied to that specific object that you put on. So it's two different moves, right? Like if you go here and you run the game, right? Like putting stuff down here like that, you say place in the world. What you mean is this specific item has to put here. Like you can't just pick up any random bed. I meant for that specific bed to be moved, right? But if you place an item through this place an item menu, right, then there's no actual like mini item to select. You just pick up any one and you move it there. So this is actually like two separate concepts. One is get any bed and move it here. The other one is no, I want this specific one to be moved. And the code here is just not correct, because when would me placing this specific item on a building ever be transactional? Because it's never transactional, right? Like me say I want to put, if I put this thing, I want a clay house for 2, and then I'm like I want to put this clay bed on it. Oh, yeah. But no, I don't want that. I want to be able to place it through here, maybe. But not even through here. I only want to be able to place it through this guy. Because what does it mean to place an item you already have in a blueprint? I don't think... So... From a logics perspective, if this building hasn't been built yet and I'm just designing a building, I don't think I should be able to place an item from here into the building. I should have to go here and do like the furniture thing. What do people think? Sophia Chaos says, Stonehearth, can we have 2 blacksmiths on one workbench? I didn't want to erase my first high level one to promote it to engineer, so I got another one, but the game got buggy and many got idle. So there is a bug where if you promote a person that is handling a work order, the game doesn't know how to proceed. Like if the person is like actively crafting here, for example, I tell this person to make it earn, right? Like if they're actively crafting here and you promote them to something else, the game might not know how to get them out of here. So you're gonna have to like delete this particular order if the order is stuck, and that should unidle your people. But hopefully that is what's wrong. If something else is happening, if that doesn't work, please upload your save onto Discourse. So discourse.stonehearth.net. You can ping my specific name on there if you want, and I will take a look at it for you. La la la. Timoro W says, I'd say only if the building is complete would the P menu be okay. If not complete and in design mode, the P menu should not work. I would prefer anyway. Yes, I agree too. So maybe let's fix that. I feel like place item on structure should never be transactional. When do we have a transactional version? Place item. Call, place item on structure. Item placer. Ooh. Why would you do this, item placer? If specific item to place. When is it a specific item to place? When would you ever be a specific item? Oh. What? Equals item to place. Item placer transaction. I think this is like a fundamental issue with how we implemented the moving of objects. So like when you're moving these, what it's actually doing is deleting the old one and putting in a new one or something like that. Yeah, and the fact that you could put it here is just weird, but that's... And then if you delete this, oh hey, it's gone. Well, that's good to know at least. Also, we totally let you place it within walls, which is... There's no way that would have ever worked. Oh man. Oh, now it's under the it's under the floor. Okay, well clearly we have some more work to do with this one. I think I will need to talk with Chris a little bit about this entire UI needing to change. So I may not be able to actually know the best way to fix this right now. But we will look at a different bug. Let's look at some other bugs. I know there was one where the Earthling starving to death while everyone else has eaten. I think this one doesn't have a save. So, for those of you that are reporting bugs on Discord, thank you very much. If you can, please do upload a save that exhibits the bug, because a lot of these things are difficult for us to reproduce. Because if we had reproduced them, then we probably would have fixed it. So, save games are very, very helpful for that. I do know there is a bug floating around where if you promote someone to a farmer, it doesn't always unlock this one. Mally has seen it happen, and I have as well. Or, I have seen Mally's version happen, and I think someone on Discord also reported it. So it's probably widespread enough that we should fix it. Player jobs controller. So what happened was I changed all the job member counts into being tracked just by their individual controllers, because the job info controller has to know this anyway. Whereas before I had another thing on the outside in the player jobs controller that also tracked it. If this makes any sense. So basically, for every job, the first time you promote to that job, we go like, oh, do you have a job info controller for that job? And a job info controller is a class that manages all of the people that are in that job. So you can ask it how many people are farmers in your town. You can ask it the highest level of any farmer in the town. You can ask it like what manually unlocked recipes and stuff it would have. So the manually unlocked stuff is how we allow you to unlock things like new farmer crops and also new recipes that are only unlocked through quests. Zebra Extreme says, I only have major performance problems on my large giant buildings. So I did look at your save file. And so I think it is a computer, like, I would have to look at the specs for your PC because I was able to load up your giant file, and I mean, I guess there was a slowdown to about 30 frames per second near the giant building, because it has to render all of the all of the pixels and stuff, but it didn't seem like a major slowdown to me, so it's not highest on the priority list right now, I think. So apologies for that. Jamaxro says tiled loading screen. Oh! Ah. Yeah, I see that. So this is a problem with the background repeating because your screen is a different resolution from 1080p. Interesting. It's hard for me to notice things like this because all of our monitors are 1080p, right? Like, and 1080p is defined as 1920 by 1080. But nowadays you have a lot of different monitors, you know, especially for laptops. You can have, so 1920 by 1080 is, I think, like a 16:9 aspect ratio. Is it 16:9? So it's weird. Widescreen for monitors is 16:9 and widescreen for TVs is 16:10. I don't understand why we can't have the same things everywhere. But yeah, so if we have a background that's meant to be like this big, but then your computer monitor is larger than that, it may render strangely, and there are things we can do to correct for that. I mean, it is just Chrome and HTML, so we can fix it, but it's like hard for us to catch. I think I will have to borrow Albert's monitor again for this thing. Albert's like the only one. Albert has one of those giant monitors, but it's a giant single monitor. So anyway, thanks for catching this. Drum Original says, do you store all that information if you're optimizing memory? Maybe listener pattern is a wise solution. What particular part do you store all that information? Everything that is unlocked on init. We do have listener stuff. So the way it works is, like, we have a server client architecture, the job stuff. Anytime this thing changes, we tell it that it has changed, it pushes it out to the client notices that this thing has changed and then notifies everybody that is listening on it being changed. Zatier says, add no repeat and set BG color to the edge of the image. So I think that actually wouldn't work in this case, because if you notice, the image is actually this size right here. So if I set it to be no repeat, then this edge would be black, or whatever BG color we decided it to be, which means that this text down here, which would normally be at the bottom of this image, would actually be cut off. So we probably want to do like an image stretch or something else like that. So yeah, anyway, the problem is the player jobs controller. When I moved everything out of the player jobs controller, Mark changed, oh jeez, I didn't want to actually do that. The UI, which does the trace, it's in job controller. So this is the UI portion. So the way everything goes is paint. Where are you, Paint? I will draw a picture. I don't know if anybody cares, but I will draw a picture anyway. So, you have a server. That is awful. Cool. You have a client. So, and these things are executables, right? So they're like exes or whatever. And then you have a UI. So when you change something onto the client, or in the server tells the client, here's like all the 500 things that I've changed since I last updated. And then what the UI does is it tells the client, I want to listen for these 3 things. So in this case, it would be like, I want to listen for jobs. Tell me when jobs have changed. And so when the client gets this data, it's like, oh, hey, jobs was one of these. So it's going to tell the UI, hey, jobs has changed. Here's the new data. Right? But what's happening is we actually have multiple things that have changed. When you add the farmer job, you say jobs has changed. And the way jobs has changed is that it added a farmer class. And the difficulty is if the farmer's update message, so I think these aren't ordered when we stream them out. It's like we know all of these have changed and it's like they changed at the same time, but if you process them different in a separate order, then and you get them onto the client, right? So part of your 500 things, then the client will tell the UI, hey, farmer has changed. And so has jobs. And hopefully this happens. But if it happens in a specific order, then the UI loses the fact that like if the client tells the if the client tells the UI that, hey, jobs has changed, and jobs has changed because farmers, because it added farmers, right? The UI is listening for jobs only, and it asks jobs what jobs points to in terms of all the different job classes. So you can have farmer and worker and all of that stuff. Out of the job updates first, we get the UI, and this thing is stale, like this thing hasn't updated yet, and we go, okay, farmer has 0 people right now. Okay, no farmers. And then later on, farmer updates again to be like, oh no, actually I have 1 person. Right? Because we're not listening to farmer directly, we're only listening to jobs, we might not get that update to farmer. And so then we don't actually, so then the UI's version of farmer is stale. I just realized that it might actually have sounded like me talking to myself. So I don't know if that made any sense, but hopefully someone somewhere either gets it or at least enjoys watching me rant. Hi, Dark Brick. So one of the things that, so here's the job controller, which is, you know, this UI part that is telling the client that I'm looking at jobs, right? And it says, I'm looking at jobs and I want to know about everything under jobs. So if you add a new job controller class, I want to know about it. And then here's the trace for it where it says, I want to know when jobs changes. It just said, it makes sense to me. Great! I'm not as crazy as I thought. Okay. So the complicated thing here is I mark changed. Maybe if I mark changed. Yeah, so the complicated thing I'm running into is that I cannot reproduce the farmer not unlocking issue. And so maybe what I need to do is write a test. Farming auto tests. Stonehearth jobs. Clear. So I want to clear all the jobs. Create a farmer. Alright, so farming auto tests. Maybe I will just run farming auto tests repeatedly and see if I can catch it. Farming auto tests, and then we go to Stonehearth test. No, we want Stonehearth auto test. And we want it to run forever. Yes. Let's see what this looks like. So one way I try to combat things that are non-deterministic is to why did this not work? Grow one turnip. Should be totally valid. So what's wrong with it? Running script. Farming auto tests. Yes. What if I didn't do this? What if I don't modify it? Is that gonna let it run? So I'm wondering why I don't see any visuals. And that was very strange as to why I didn't see any visuals, because it's supposed to show a person farming. So let's take a look at why. Stonehearth auto tests. Running script / Stonehearth auto test / Stonehearth auto test tests, and to end farming auto tests. Function. There we go. Okay, so that was because we had function selected, and this might actually be bad because if we have a function specified, no, not auto test environment, auto test instance. Yeah, if we have a function specified, but that function does not exist within the script, we should just warn people. Like, so here we go, run forever, Stonehearth auto test server, if run forever function, auto test framework run script. Alright, where is auto test framework? Let's Stonehearth auto tests. Auto test framework. Okay, so we need to know who is auto test framework. Auto test framework. Okay. Run script. Function name. If type fn equals function and matches table insert. Or glob match. Alright, well, this might be good for another time. What I wanted to do is have it warn you if you're trying to run a function that doesn't exist in that particular script. Alright, so that worked. And what we need to do with the farming auto tests is to refresh the UI. But that's harder to do. Stonehearth. Start menu? Yeah, so the start. So the difficulty is that if it unlocks on the first try, then it stays unlocked forever. Hey! Okay, so why did it fail? I think it's the field jobs. Oh, job. Okay, so what we want to do instead is not create a farmer. So instead of grow one turnip, we want to do promotion unlock. And the way we will do this is say we'll create a person whose job is a worker. And we want to promote that worker into a farmer. So we will say, so let's look at promotion auto test. Promote auto tests will create a farmer talisman. So ho, and then we'll say, where is the promote? Progression test. Add crop type. Start menu, create farm, storage item added, promote the carpenter. Here's promote. And so probably do so we want to push unit frame on the worker to promote a job, and we want to promote the Stonehearth jobs farmer, approve the stamper, and then listen for the job changed. And then after the job changes, we want to click the DOM element and try to create a farm, and then on post create of a farm, So what's the manifest for farm? No, that's AI pack farming, buffs farm, zone farm, farmer field. So if we created a Stonehearth farmer field, then auto test success. Fail to create farm. So this is promotion unlock. Hey, so now that function thing has got to work out. There we go. Oh, oops. It's wool again. Promotion unlock. And there was an error. What's the error? Running test promotion unlock. In function error. Variable farmer is not declared. Awesome. So then we go here, we go like variable farmer. Who's farmer? Get player ID. Worker. Don't need this. Go. Run this again. So this is just one way we can try to get those hard to reproduce bugs, is we make sure that it works. Selection service, attempt to call, method, get component, select entity. Okay, so that worked, but we had an assertion on restart, and also we need to refresh the UI so that it refreshes. So the way we do that is we check to see if it's actually possible. UI service auto test UI. Use UI server. UI server select entity, connect client to server. Let's see, what commands are there? Commands. Auto test UI commands. So lib, common, UI commands, set building mode, wait camera, select entity, click DOM element, select world coordinate. Let's put in one that is refresh browser. Sorry, not refresh, reload. Actually, what we could do is actually just fix this bug with the start menu. Where we unlock item, job alias in the start menu. So we should just fix it so that if you don't have a farmer, you can't create a farm anymore. Dragomira says that will make the farmer to level up faster. Can you make the field with fence already as optional? I mean, it's doable, but I'm not I think I want to wait until we figure out what to do with fences in general, because right now fences are very expensive in terms of resources, and also people hate having to manually place all of their fences, as you know, you described. And also they're very expensive gameplay wise, because people will make like 300 fences when we could theoretically represent all fences as a single object. So Allie is supposed to stream today, but she is sick, so I am covering for her. Stonehearth menu. So we have unlock item, attribute name, attribute value, unlock item, unlock job equals alias. So here we want to do lock all items with attribute value. So we'll add a class to this. Add class unlockable in here as well, so that we can grab everything that's unlockable and lock them. Lock all items. So element that find so we find unlockables. Build tooltip, build tooltip, build tooltip. Okay. I think this will work. So the way to test this would be, so what I'm doing is making it so when you lose a class, that field becomes locked. So here I have no farmer. Promote to farmer. Now it's unlocked. Demote you. That did not help. Oh, it's because I didn't actually call it. Good job, me. So I have to tell it to so start menu, lock all items. So here there's no farmer. You know, promote to farmer. Ah, still locked. Demote? If I demote him, then the farm is there. Okay, so this manifests the bug then. Great. So let's put it in our localhost and see how we can fix this. So, no farm. Promote to farmer. And so that did not give us a farmer. So why not? We'll go to our job controller and we'll take a look at all of this data. And then we'll be like, nope, demote. So what jobs do I have? I have farmer, potter. Job controller data. Job controller data. Job controller data dot jobs. Jobs Stonehearth farmer. Stonehearth jobs farmer. There we go. Alright. Ah, it has 1 members, it says. So that's bad, because it actually has no members. And if we refresh this, we will see that... Oh, oops. Breakpoint here. It actually has no members. So... what do we want to do about this? Let's put in debug true for traces. So trace is how we tell the client C++ that the browser's JavaScript wants to know when something has changed. So then when we promote this person, promote to farmer, we're saying Stonehearth job resolved to farmer, total level 4, define parent of progress. Yes. Okay, so this is the selected person updating. We also need to child objects resolve to farmer, notifying parent of progress. So worker has 2 members. Pending object keys 0. Jobs cook, jobs weaver, jobs potter, jobs farmer resolved to num members 1. Okay, so we have 1 member in the farmer, which is correct. Child object resolved to. So here's the place where we say we're notifying a parent of progress. After we've expanded all of the children, so workers finished resolving, weavers finished resolving, farmer is finished resolving, so no members is 1. Okay, so that did unlock the farmer. Alright, so what happens if we... So that one worked correctly. But let's start it from scratch. So now we promote to farmer. And that didn't work out quite so well. Job resolved to... Okay, so this is the person updating. All the person's description stuff. So child object farmer resolved to. Child object farmer notifying parent of progress. Child object resolved to farmer cook. Okay. So we notify parent of progress. And then the farmer updated again, we notify the parent of progress. And then the farmer updates again, and we notify the parent of progress. And the worker updates, and the worker resolves to this. So this looks correct. Game object 27. So you are 7242. What is? So yeah, the difficulty here is that we just added a farmer. And the farmer has no members. Aha. So let's look for this. Can we look for this? Okay. So the first time we get the farmer has no members. Great. Does it ever resolve to having a member? Excuse me. I guess it... Okay, so here is where it actually has a member now. Alright, I should probably actually look at what the chat is saying. Auto fences. Yes, auto fences would be cool. Bookshield says, what about a drawing tool and building editor? Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that, but I want someone to do a UX pass on the building editor first, because I'm not convinced that our current experience of building is the best one that we can have, because it is very confusing to people. And but I mean, making this, like making a fence tool like the ladder tool, totally doable. You need like a custom renderer, so if you know what the ladder component is, like here's how we make ladders, right? A ladder is a height and a normal. So a height is how tall the ladder is. A normal is which way it's facing, right? So if the normal is going this way or that way, then it's gonna be this, like that, or if it's going this way, then it's going to be rotated, right? So that's what defines a ladder. And then the fact that it looks like this is part of the rendering component. So if you look at ladder renderer, here it is, the ladder renderer. So what it does is it gets the ladder component and it says, how tall are you? You have ladder points and ghost points. So ladder points are the ones that are already built, so you know, when he puts it up, this portion is going to be solid, whereas the other portion is going to be semi-transparent. So that's all it does. It goes ladder points, ghost points, and then it draws them. So we can do a similar thing with fences, although part of the complication is the fact that determining where you can place a ladder is actually fairly challenging in terms of like figuring out where your cursor is and then projecting out a normal to that particular surface and then figuring out how low it goes and stuff like that. So with the fence tool, it'll probably be not as difficult actually, because with freestanding walls you can do this, right? So we'll probably use the same technology as the freestanding walls, except they won't be as tall. It'll probably be 2 blocks up, and then you draw something like this, except it'll look like a fence. And then we'll do a custom action just like with the ladders to build for the AI to build a fence. Yeah, shouldn't be too bad. Sirendars says, or Sneaky Pinky says, thank you for streaming this. It's been very informative to watch the game evolve over the year. Well, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Sirendar says, helping me consider my own dev projects and how to go about attacking them. I feel like with every project, there's always that retrospective point where you think about how you would have done things differently if you had known about how everything would go ahead of time. So I think about that a lot every day, and I think the more times you do it, the more information you have. So part of the experience is just doing it, making mistakes, and getting a learning experience out of it. Drum Original says, no vote needed, it's on the long to-do list. Yeah, a fence tool is on the to-do list. It's been there for a while. We will get to it eventually. I mean, we got to the stairs tool eventually, so it's gonna happen. Just, I think I'm waiting for the right time. Because there's a lot of requests for performance optimizations right now. There's bugs like this UI not unlocking right that you saw. And it's like, would the fence tool improve everyone's quality of life more than having more performance and optimization? It's possible we will get to a point eventually where it does. I mean, it's completely possible. It also is up to what other people on the team think as well, because, you know, we can't program in a vacuum. Other people also have input as to what they think would make their lives easier. Okay, so where was I? This thing. So basically, it says the farmer job resolved to num objects 1. And then child object resolved to. So let's look for this. Child object resolved. Okay, resolved to blah. So we don't know which one it is. So let's just put breakpoints everywhere. Debug false. And we'll put a breakpoint when the child object K. So you can do conditional breakpoints, which is super nice. Edit breakpoint. K equals farmer. Awesome. And then there's this one as well, which is edit breakpoint. K equals farmer. Okay. So now we can rerun this and then reload this. It remembers our breakpoints, which is super nice. And then we promote. Well, let's promote a potter. Promote a worker. Well, no, that is a potter. It looked just like a worker. You're a worker. Promote to farmer. And so now the first thing is the child object resolves to num members 1. Okay, great. You are working. Trace thing. Child object resolved to num members 1. Okay. Ooh, alright. So, but even though it resolved to num members 1, it didn't trigger our update. So let's look at why. And the way we do that is we run it again, go back here, reload this thing because it needs to connect to the edu instance, blah blah blah. Job controller, so now we do worker promote to farmer. We get this update first because the FERD has been notified that our jobs have updated, and then this child object got updated to 1, so we update the property child object, update property, Ember set. Okay. Okay, so this means that each of the children were updated, but we need to listen for when the children changed. Conditional breakpoints, they are great. They are not available in Dakota, which is our Lua debugger, so that part is not so great. But Visual Studio has them for most languages. Yeah, Chrome has it for JavaScript debugging. It's pretty nice. Alright. So what is happening is, as I described here, what happens is jobs updates first, and then farmer's like, oh, I went from 0 people to 1 person. And then the client, but because jobs already updated and our UI is only listening for changes to jobs, it's not listening to changes of the children of jobs, it thinks there's no farmers. And so one way to fix that would be to go to job controller, and then there's a Ember observes, right? Like Ember observes. So I need to check the way to manually observe a field on Ember. One of the things, not Ember observer, Ember JS object model observes. So ember.observer full name. Observers asynchronous. You can add observers to an object outside of the class using add observer. Okay. So maybe we can add an observer to the jobs. Would that be sufficient? So we do self.jobs observer equals null. Oh, it's initialized. It's kind of nice. Then we do self.jobs observer equals job controller dot jobs. So we need to dot add observer jobs function deal with the change. Cool. Alright, so dealing with the change, we need to create another function that deals with the change. So because we don't actually have a function that deals with the change very well, we should create our own function that deals with it. So here's like on job controller data changed function so we'll do this, and then we'll do this. So we'll copy and paste what we do every time we update to be within its own function, and that way we can call it whenever we want. Ourself this. Deal with the change self dot changed self. I think that will do it. So now let's see if we don't get any errors when we refresh the UI. And after that, it will be a question of does this actual callback, does this Ember observer actually do actually trigger at the correct time. Eldred said, is there documentation on which method a Stonehearth app view must implement? Well, what you do is you go to app.js or let's see. So mods, Radiant, JavaScript, Radiant, core, so I'm just gonna look for the definition of app.view. So app.view is our extension of the Ember view. Yes, here it is. So Stonehearth view.js. If you look at Stonehearth view.js, excuse me, I mean, you can implement as little or as much as you want. Obviously, most of these you don't need to implement. For me, did insert element is one of the things I always implement. You almost always want to implement this because did insert element is where you would want to do hookup of events and things like that. And destroy is also something I almost always implement, because if you are adding anything in the insert element, then you would want to, for example, if you're adding a trace or if you're adding a listener, then you would want to destroy that in the destroy call of the view. Demago says, my professor hated loops that get canceled manually. He told us to get the limits straight. I'm not exactly sure what your professor means by loops that get canceled manually. You mean like if blah break? Like he hated breaks or something? Alright, so anyway, I got a JavaScript error. What does it say? Job controller is not defined. Job controller.js 109. Alright, job controller.js 109. Ah, here it is. Okay, so instead of this, we need this. I think that is good. Demago says yes, he hated breaks. So here's what I will say about these things. Eventually you're gonna have to figure these things out for yourself, because everyone has pet peeves, and everyone who codes, coding is weird. Like, I almost imagine it like there's a lot of opinions and a lot of preferences, and so you're gonna have to sort through what works for you. For me nowadays, I found that a lot of the things that people tell me are more like guidelines. For example, Tony is very much like when you have a pointer, you know, like my type star my pointer name. Where does the little star go? So Tony likes it like this because he says it has to go with the type. The type is it's a star of my type. And then some people go like, no, you want to do that. I am personally, I don't care. What I want is working code. And what I appreciate the most is people who recognize when their coding standards and coding habits are just habits. And so if anybody ever tries to drill into you that you cannot use breaks, you will have to use breaks in games. I see breaks used all the time. Having a hard rule of thumb for a lot of things, I feel like just rarely works out. Hi, Turtle Squish. Demago says, my prof had a point. Maybe. At my age, I mostly don't trust anyone anymore. Still did not work. So we cannot listen to just jobs. Turtle Squish says, what have you done with Allie? Allie is sick. So I am helping her out. Believe me, it is not within my nature to wake up this early. Oh, add controller jobs. Maybe that's it. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Let's see. There's still hope in the world. Demago says last stream she had 2 dots below her lips. Allie has lip studs. Those are natural. Okay, still not working. Cool. Alright, so controller add observer. What does add observer do? Let's look at the definition of it. Amber add observer. Maybe I'll do it a different way. Where I go. Close Ember, add observer, job controller, jobs. Maybe it's getting overridden somehow. Let's check this again. Yeah, I hope she feels better soon too. I broke the UI! What did I do? Okay, unexpected token. Alright, yeah. It's because I had an extra bracket. Reload the UI again. Why are you unhappy this time? Huh. Why do I have a farmer? Wow. So, which breakpoint am I at? So, Ember set farmer EOBJ What's EJ? To string 940. Okay, that worked. But if I rerun it, do I need to destroy Ember observers? I promote you to farmer. Breakpoint. Job controller. So Ember object. Okay, set. Nope. So this Ember object set. So we want to be aware of when this Ember object set is happening. And then we need to figure out why our observer is not firing. But I guess it's because we're not setting on jobs, we're setting on a child of jobs. So maybe we'll, is there an Ember? Is there an Ember observes? I guess we would need to add an observer for every job. Jobs observers. Function, job name, job object. So for each of these we would need to Ember job observers, job name, add observer of the job object. Is there a way to observe when it changes? Add observer. I guess I will just look for num members. Let's do that. See you later, Turtle Squish. Tobacco says, why do I feel like Yang is implementing a new bug right now? Well, everything's either gonna work out or it's not, right? Things are very binary in my world. Actually, no, I need to observe on this thing the job name. See you later, Turtle Squish. I know I said that earlier. Sure. promote. Excuse me. I will promote the popper. Set up everything. Promote to farmer. Here's all my breakpoints. Yay! Alright. Well, that did something. It would have been nice if it didn't trigger that many refreshes. But this one works. Okay. It is not my favorite implementation. But I will deal with that. Job controller? No. Job controller, job info controller.lua. So what we can do now, which is hooray, is when a job changes, we don't need to mark change on the player job info because the JavaScript knows how to listen for it now. So we go here and then we test it again real quick. This was not the best visual programming session I have done. I apologize. But yeah, now you have a farmer. If I demote him, I think it should go back to being locked. Yeah, there we go. Yay! I will have to speak with Stephanie if that was the best thing we want to do. So here we go. Job controller. So we get a bunch of observers. Job controller data. Is there a destructor for observers? Observer destruct joy? Is there a destroy? Yes. I guess for safety, if blah, then not destroy. I actually don't know if the Ember object has to destroy. Usually it's a good idea to, if you have something that you've created to, if you have a listener, destroy a listener. Promote to footman. There we go. Yeah, cannot read property Ember Retta of undefined Ember min job controller JS 143. Yep, so we cannot destroy it. So maybe that's fine. Maybe what we do is we say if not, then do this. Maybe this will be the best way. So, yep. Promote to herbalist. Okay. Okay, that works. Promote to carpenter. Okay, cool. Carpenter. Demote. No longer carpenter. Okay. Alright, so this way seems to work. Now we would want to stage all of these changes and go fix for farmer icon not always updating on refresh. This happens because farmer is not always updating on, sorry, that is not the words I wanted. Promoting the first farmer. This is because the job controller can update before the jobs. And I kind can't update before the individual job controller updates. Game Musil PCS says, I need this game, but I don't have money now. Well, thank you for supporting us still and for displaying your interest. I think the nice thing about Stonehearth is we do have streams and stuff if you want to keep up with our development process. And hey, it just means that if you do eventually get the money, then like the game will be even more developed and even more bug free by the time you next try it out. Okay, I am going to say that is good. I don't want these other changes because they are not helpful. Cool, so we fixed 2 bugs today. Man, that last one was gnarly, but I think it's the right fix. It does mean that we will now update a lot more when an individual job changes, but maybe we can do this at the end. So like we recognize that so instead of doing like immediately calling back everyone, we can do Ember has a scheduler. So you can do like a schedule once. It's like the difference between a listener sync and a listener async, which is like async says after everything is done, then trigger it. So I may change this to that so that we don't have as much of so that we don't have so many events sent out for when all the jobs update at once. Because a promotion of one Hearthling from a worker to a farmer is actually 2 updates, because the worker, you now have 1 less worker and you have 1 more farmer. So both the worker and the farmer are updating. Surrender says, this coming alpha is going to focus on bug fixes and Rise catch-up. What's next, or is it too early to ask? I think we're all waiting for when our new designer Richard gets here, and then he will help us inform what is the best thing to do next, because we do have a lot of things we want to work on, but we also want to get Richard's insight on what he thinks our game needs to become more fun and directed as a game. So I think everything is still kind of up in the air, but the good thing is there are still art and assets and things that we will need to make regardless of where the gameplay adjustments will go. So yay, new designer! I'm super excited to meet him and to work with him. So actually he will start next week, so we will hopefully be able to introduce you all to him on Tuesday or whenever he feels comfortable. And yeah, look forward to more overall game design decisions soon. Hopefully I'm not putting too much pressure on him, but he's not here yet, so yay! New designer. Alright, that is it for me today. These changes hopefully will roll out to all of you soon. Please do continue to play Alpha 18 on Steam Stable. It is out to everyone. And report the bugs that you find on Discourse. We would love to take a look at them. Give us saves if you have them, because saves are very good for reproducing bugs. Thank you for paying attention to my droning technical explanations. Have a good rest of the day. Techmaster says, I just joined, so what code were you doing? So I was making fixes for the farmer icon not unlocking when you promote a farmer for the first time, and to fix our jQuery minifier, because we have a custom version of jQuery. I made some changes to the version of jQuery we were using to prevent some errors from happening because there were some null checks that they weren't doing. So I guess check me out in the VODs if you want to hear even more of me droning. Mystery Machine SA says, how does one create mods? So most of our mods are probably more done with JSON, so you can create, you can easily add new objects to this game. A lot of our stuff is made with JSON, so if you want to look at like a berry basket, so here's a bush for a berry basket, right? Like it's just a JSON file along with some images. So here's the image of the, and then there's also a cubicle file or the QB file, which is a voxel format. Alright, have a good rest of the day, everyone. Thank you for joining me.